Hello, hello, hello. Is there anybody there? Let me know if we've got good volume or not, and if you guys can see me okay. Let's see. Today we're going to be going over some Nikola stuff. We've got the flyover, and we are going to talk a little bit about sending Munro. I just need to see someone in the comments and tell me everything's working good. So, hello, anybody there? I know we got about a 30-second delay, so hoping to see someone pop up here shortly. Glenn Phillips, video and audio are good. Thank you, Glenn. I appreciate you saying that, because now I know that we could probably get started and not have to worry about things not working. Gordon Rigger, hello from Vancouver. Glad to see you back here, Gordon. How is Vancouver? Is it cold up there? It's got to be. And it was Whistler that I went to previous, right before COVID, over by Vancouver. So that was a place where we went skiing. So that was my trip in Vancouver. Almost 2 years now, right before COVID started. It was February of 2020. So that was a nice place. Nice place. So let's see. We got 9 people on. Let's get straight over to the video. I'm going to show you what we filmed today. Before we do that, I also want to mention we've ordered the new drone, and we're going to be getting a lot better footage at Lucid, where we're denied legal access to the air over there. And we'll also be able to get some better footage at Nikola, because this thing has a zoom lens that is incredible. We've seen demos of it, and it's absolutely incredible. So I don't know when it's coming in yet. They haven't given me any shipping information, but I did order it earlier today. So let's go ahead and flip over to our new template that we have. You like that, guys? Glenn, we got the Mavic Air 3 Pro. We did not get the Cinna. That was another lot of money. It would have cost us probably at least another $1,000, because we bought the $3,000 kit, which was it's got the drone and a package of batteries and things like that. The Cinna kit doesn't come with all of that, but it does come with a smart controller. We bought the smart controller also, and that way we can better flyovers. We also don't want to have any issues of losing a connection when you're connected to a phone. And if we're flying around Lucid and we lose that drone there, or around the outside of Lucid, and we hit the return to home, it ends up flying over their property. So we want to make sure we have a good connection where we're not going to lose it on the phone. So that is the Mavic Air 3 Pro, not the Cinna. And let's see. I'm sorry, I still don't speak Korean, but hello to you too, if that's what you said. I hope it was a nice comment. And who here has seen Sandy's first video? We're going to talk about that after we go through this, and I'll show some of that. So yeah, that was pretty exciting stuff. And hello, Angel, and another guy from Korea. Thank you for providing the live stream. No problem. I understand it. Okay. Let's take a look and see what we got. We're going to switch over to this. Oh, we already switched over. And let's take a look. See what we got today. Our beautiful splash screen, brought to you by Riley, my son, the producer. He makes all those graphics. So I think we could probably skip through some of the older... we'll look at it. It moves pretty quickly. But definitely... you can see they had the red and the yellow crane in that picture. They didn't bring out the cranes this time for phase 1. They were able to lift everything up there, and they've got the AC units. I was told that they got the big yellow crane just for those AC units that are on top, and now they're going to figure out how to lift them up without the yellow crane. And for some reason the red crane couldn't do it. I think it's how far it could reach. But here's our typical fly-in. On the north side, and we're going to speed that up just a tiny bit, because that's just all dirt out there still. But if you notice coming up here, if you can see my arrow, they've started a little bit more work on, go to regular speed now, right about here. There was supposed to be a wash station, but they're putting in another foundation, it looks like right here. On the original plans, the wash station was on the other side and the dyno station was in that corner. But it looks like they're actually building that wash station. I'm assuming it's the wash station, don't know for sure. But they are definitely digging out a foundation for it. And that might be more than just a wash station. It's maybe where they wrap the trucks up, get them ready for delivery to a customer. Because you can't just put them on a flatbed. You got to do a couple of things, putting plastic on seats and things like that. So as you can see in the dyno area, there's still more guys working in there. They are still working on that rebar. I imagine some forms are going to be coming up. And there we go. There's a better view of it. Let me make my screen a little bit bigger here. So right in that middle area, let's get my mouse in the right spot. You got a lot of form work that's going to be done. And it's hard to see in this picture, but there's rebar coming up, probably about 6 feet, if not more. So there's definitely going to be some walls over there. You also see they have a new aggregate that they put down in that foundation, where the foundation is going to be going. Here we are coming in from over where the test loop is, and you can see everything on phase 1 going in. They've got most of the roof in there. They're working on the walls towards the south side. I'm gonna move my mouse a little bit. There we go. Over here, they're actively working on those walls when we were flying today. So they're going to obviously continue. And something we picked up from Sandy's video was they were talking about the white walls and how they're just going to come off to expand the factory when it's necessary. Once they get this area closed in, those panels will come off fairly easily. I don't think they'll be able to reuse them or anything. Possibly. It just depends on how easy they come off. But you can see everyone is working on getting those walls up. We're coming up to another crane over here, and we're going to get a better view of it later. But there's 3 semi trucks that all have air conditioners on them. And those big AC units that are all over the roof right now, it appears to be the same one. And at this time, they're getting that ready right here. They're getting the straps on it so that they can lift that out. I love your drone. Thank you for allowing us to see the Nikola construction progress. It is our pleasure. We love doing this. We think this is fun stuff, and feel like we're documenting some sort of history that in 50 years, when they're teaching kids about how we used to run on this gasoline that used to explode type of thing, and it was polluting the planet. So I think it's fun to document this as it goes along. You can see as we're flying south, you can see some of the parking lot, and we're going to get a better view of that later. Here's a shot of the actual crane that's getting ready to lift off that AC unit, and I think we did a time lapse here. So, and I believe it was sped up. Yeah, you can see the guys over here. They're working on getting the straps on. The red crane over in the middle of the screen is getting ready. It's got a panel right now, and they're putting a panel up. So you can see one of them go up just as we're doing this. And then you got other guys running around doing other things around the site. But yeah, so they lift up the AC unit and they just go ahead and move it onto the ground for staging. And I'm not sure if they're going to use that yellow crane to lift it up, because in the past, like I said before, they needed the giant cranes to lift those. So maybe they'll use them, maybe they won't. We'll see. We'll see what it looks like in the next couple of days, because I don't think they're going to leave it right there. But they have 3 units here, one on the crane, one on the truck in the front, and you can't see it, but right behind this roofing material, there was another semi that had another AC unit. And I didn't really try and figure it out yet to see how many units they're going to need. If I had to guess, it's probably going to be like 6 or 8, somewhere around that area. Now this area right here, this big area, I'm starting to think this is going to be a retention area. This area right here has been taken down, so it's definitely going to be for water. What they're going to do here, I'm still not sure, since the plans have changed from the original permits that they put in. They're still doing a little bit of grading in the parking lot area, and in a minute we're going to get a really good shot. Oh yeah, by the way, follow us on Twitter at Bears Workshop. We're going to fly over to the west, and we're going to have a really good view of that parking lot. You can see how that is coming together. That is the waiting area when they pull in with deliveries. Anything that's extremely heavy goes on the concrete until they get permission to come in. That's for future purposes. Right now, they're just coming in. There's so much stuff going on. But here's a great view of the parking lot. I know we're going to get a little bit closer also, but you can see where all the, there we go. That's the shot we were looking for. That's the money shot right there. So I'm still hoping this fits all those cars that are in the dock area. It should, but I think it's actually going to be pretty close, and they're going to have to expand that fairly quickly as they get more and more employees. But you know, that's what they're going to do. You can see up here most of the wall for the new section has already been put on. You've got all this gray up here, and then they have the new facade that they still have to do. I keep looking over my left screen because that's where it's big and I can actually see. So we drove over the loading dock area. We did see one FCEV is in the tent. We'll come up to that in a little bit. We got a truck dropping off an empty dumpster for garbage, and he's just going to park in there. Not much things is going on exciting. We did not see anything driving around today. We saw the FCV in the tent, but it didn't come out. We got the dump truck getting ready to dump over there or drop his what do you call that? You know, the big box thing, container, we'll call it. So there's plenty of people working again today. So you know they're still working on stuff. We're gonna look at Sandy Munro's video in a little bit, and there's maybe only a minute's worth of view inside the factory, and we're going to talk about that. But there's the FCV, and again, I'm assuming it's an FCV because they've only put FCVs in that tent structure, so I'm pretty sure that's just another one of them. And I got some notes here on how many that they've made so far, and this was when Sandy Munro was out there, and I'm not sure when he was out there. It was at least a week ago. But they had said that there were 7 Alpha FCVs built already, and that's a lot. And we'll talk about that more in a little bit. I don't want to ruin all the content for showing Sandy's video in a minute here. We're not going to go through all of his video. That was a 30-minute video. Let's see. Idar says Sandy Munro gives Nikola the thumbs up as expected. Well, you know, it's not always expected. I know he is rooting for Nikola because he believes in hydrogen for semis. But if he saw something he didn't like, he's definitely going to say something about it. He's going to say that's not right. Kyle, 35,000 units per year, still viable at Coolidge? I have no reason to think not. Well, actually, I think their goal at full build-out is 30,000. It could have changed, but you never know. You never know. But yeah, I think 30,000 was what they're initially saying, and that's a lot of semis. So we'll see what they're able to do, and it's going to take a couple years before we get there. Took a spin out to the water campus. Doesn't look like much is going on there. The wall looks nearly complete. They still need a man gate and an RV type of gate on the left side there. And we saw these boxes. We found 3 of them around the site, and don't know what they're for. If anyone has any idea, hey, please let us know, because we have no idea what those boxes there are for. But they got painted on recently, so it's kind of interesting. We'll have to figure out what that's all about. Let's see. I'm really curious about Sandy Munro's review for the truck. Tyler Dunford, he's a straight shooter. He really is. He is one of those guys who's just he's gonna tell you how it is. If he doesn't like something, he's gonna say it. He's not gonna hold back. Any updates on the hydrogen stations being built? Well, I haven't seen anything, to be honest with you. I know that they still have plans for it, and they've got different agreements with a couple different companies to build hydrogen stations. And once they announce where they're at, it'll be easier to figure out how those are coming along. Please give us an amazing rating, LOL. Is that something Sandy said or something? All right, so that's the end of our video for today. Now we do have another video, and let's see if I can pull that up here. Give me a second. Let's see. There we go. That wasn't too bad. So we're not going to go through the whole thing. This is just him showing his flight out. That's Sky Harbor Airport in Phoenix. And they were checking him out to make sure he's clean to go in, I guess. Picture of him driving the truck, getting in the truck. But none of this was shown in today's video. Today's video is about 30 minutes long. And they are just showing him one of the FCVs. And it was not one that was driving it. So let's talk about this real quick. Sandy's doing his intro. You can see that there's a couple of trucks in the back there, and then you can see on the right hand side you've got at least 4 more trucks, maybe 5. There's one all the way in the back that are being worked on. Now my buddy Brian from my Tesla weekend said that it just looks like a big empty garage, and he said there's no production line. You guys got to keep in mind that there was no production line scheduled in this phase to be built. This was supposed to be done by hand assembly, and eventually this is going to be part of the production plant. But right now this is exactly what they planned on doing. I did not expect to see production line. I don't know why Brian did, because I thought he was aware that this was just supposed to be set up like it is. Sandy's talking with Jason Royce and another guy, Christian Appel. You can see their titles on the screen. They were talking about how those walls are going to come down, or Sandy was talking originally about how the walls are going to come down so they can keep expanding that factory. So they go outside, they take a look at the FCV that's out there. There's a tent that we film all the time. That's the breast cancer awareness truck. Apparently it's not even running yet. They talked about the fact that they haven't started it yet. They're still pressure testing the systems. Apparently, for those that want to get really technical, the tank is a 700 bar tank, which that's a rating of how much pressure it can take, and that is extremely high. They're saying that the industry standard is 350, but 700 is very, very large. Sandy's coming over here. After a couple minutes, he says that this doesn't look like an Alpha truck. An Alpha truck has usually got tape on it, things wired up and hanging off and not bolted down. He was very, very impressed with the Alpha truck and the way it's been put together. He says this looks more like a pre-production truck. He also explained when talking that there's a lot of things hanging off the back of the truck, and a lot of those items are devices for monitoring systems to see how everything's performing. So they talked about this for a while. What other notes do I have? Let's see. They talked about they have crash detection systems built on the truck that if they were to get into a collision and it triggers one of these safety devices, it cuts off power to the truck, and then it closes off all valves to the hydrogen tank. Not necessarily in that order. It might be at the same time. But that's what they do to keep it safe, to mitigate any chance of fire. And I think that's a great idea. Obviously, something like that's going to cost a little bit more to put an actuator on a valve and make sure that it's working and knows when to shut off. They also talked about the tank and the fact that tanks like that don't explode. Sandy Munro talked about how when he worked at NASA, they took huge hydrogen tanks and ran them over with trains and tried to make them explode that way, and they wouldn't explode. To test these tanks, they shot, I think 308 at the side of it, and they had to take several shots before they can actually get one to go through. So the tanks are pretty robust. They're gonna take a lot of hits and still be okay. So that was pretty interesting. The tanks right now on that system that they have, because it doesn't pressurize at 700 bar, it takes much longer to fill up. It takes an hour to fill up the hydrogen tank. But when they're at an actual hydrogen station that's set up for 700 bar, which is hopefully going to end up being the industry standard, they are going to be looking at 10 minutes to fill up both tanks. And that's a substantial difference. I know semis filling up diesel will take longer than that, because you got tanks on both sides, and those are 50 or 55 gallon tanks on the side, sometimes more. They're almost like 55 gallon barrels, the big ones that people make fires in, or you'll see in a park. So the tanks are pretty big, and they take a long time to fill up. I've had to wait on semi-truck lines waiting to get fuel before, when I used to drive around with a fifth wheel, and my truck was diesel, so I'd get online with the semis, and it took a long time for the truck in front of you to fill up. Let's see. Talk about the front end also. We'll talk about that in a minute. So right now they're actually talking about the hydrogen tanks. I'm not even sure that those are like steel. I don't know what kind of material those are made out of, but it'd be interesting to find that out. Let's see. JK, it's not production line in 0.5. That is 100% correct. And you're right, it does say that in the milestones. Let's see. Jason Rush's sold guy has a good, solid, I guess you mean solid. He's a solid guy. Had a good chat with him at Act Expo. Yeah, I've seen him on Twitter also, and he puts out some stuff that's on there that we don't get to see. I kind of like that. Let's see, 700 bar is standard for cars. Do you mean 700 bar standard for hydrogen cars? Because there's very few out there. But in any case, what do I know? I'm just going by what they said. They said 350 was what they're using for other hydrogen filling. Maybe it is standard. And if it is, great, because that's less that they have to get in line with everything else, because they want to get an industry standard on those hydrogen lines. That's another thing that they talked about, is having it so everyone in the industry is using the same type of connectors, and they're working together with a few other of the semi-manufacturers that are working on hydrogen, so that they all have the same thing. And that's a big thing. I mean, Tesla superchargers are great, but when you have to go to something else, you have to have the adapter with you. It's the same thing if you don't have a Tesla. They're just changing that now, but you can go to a Tesla supercharger. It needs to be the same. Could you imagine having gas stations that only work for BMWs, or a gas station that only works for a Chevy? So an industry standard on that would be great. Let's see. Filling depends on temperature. 700 bar is standard, but the protocol negotiate the pressure difference in temperature. Hydrogen on expansion heats up, and this could explode. Okay, that's pretty in depth. You know a lot more about it than I do, and now I share that. Now everybody knows that. Let's see. Production line. Okay. All right. JKM. That's cool. You met him. Yeah. Jason Royce really seems like a solid guy, like JKM already said. Just repeating myself. IDAR, as expected from my position, regarding the fuel cell hydrogen technology, I have no doubt that this is the correct way to go. My Tesla. Hey, Brian, you're here. I was giving you some grief about that comment you made about no production line. Google says 120 to 150 gallons is average. Is that per side, or is that for the entire truck? Alpha Arcade Tree-esque. Okay, I don't really know what tree-esque means, but cool. They look carbon wrapped. Yes, they do. They did look like they were carbon wrapped as far as those tanks go. See, Dries, production line is phase 1 and will be a copy from Ohm. Well, that's good, because they've already figured it out. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel. Yes, hydrogen cars. I think 700 bars. My Nexo does that. Okay. His tanks are carbon reinforced. Thanks, Therese. You seem to get a lot of information. I appreciate that. Don't Care says, I think Nikola has more technology than other companies because they have the BEV and the FCEV. They seem to have a lot of technology going on where some people, I don't know who, maybe you guys know, say that they have zero technology. And how are they going to make a profit when they have zero technology and they can only sell shirts? Some people say that. I don't know why. Okay, Brian says total capacity is 120 to 150. That makes sense. And they take a long time to fill up. Much different than just filling up a car that has a 15-gallon tank. Those trucks take a while. Let's see. Saw your tweet on the drone. Congrats. That's from Boss USA. Let's get Lucid exposed. Boss, I appreciate the fact that you donated on the GoFundMe site. So I want to say thank you to that. And exposing Lucid, that's not necessarily my goal. Part of my goal is to just see what's going on. I also want to get some video so that I can show Warren that they're not just moving dirt around, because that's what he has said. And I actually don't appreciate that, because when I'm doing several videos a week showing what they're doing, and he's going to take some of my footage, put it up on Twitter, and say, look, all they're doing is moving dirt. I kind of don't like that. So that's just my opinion. I'm going to say, in Dylan Loomis's words, that's reckless. And he had said that to Warren. And maybe Brian and I will talk about that tomorrow on the fast charging episode, because the hate that's being spread by certain people on the internet at Nikola, at Lucid, I'm very good at putting it off and not paying any attention to it. But when they start using stuff that I've created and then saying lies about it, that bothers me. So, Brian, I want to talk about that tomorrow. See what you think. I know you don't like Lucid either, because they won't answer your phone calls. It's JK, yeah, your boy Micah says that. Yeah, he sure does. Every single video. Carbon wrap is ideal for preventing catastrophic failure. Yes, it is. Well, they shot at it, so that's pretty good. Let's see. Tyler says, this time next year, Brian is going to be a Nikola bull. He will be. If I have to force him with my armory, I will. Oh, man, I meant to grab the shotgun. But yeah, Brian will get there. He enjoyed his visit to Nikola, and he liked having that conversation with the people there. And I know his mind on it changed a lot. So let's see. Brian Tyson Dunford, at what share price? Yeah. Sandy Munro said Nikola is a paradigm paralyze. You know the word. It's true. It is. It's something that's completely different, and it's how these legacy automakers are going to react to this, and not so much the video, but I mean by how this is going to save so much money, and not just in fuel costs, but maintenance costs. And this is what they're actually talking about in this area of the clip. They're talking about it generates 100 kilowatts each section of that, and I'm not sure if that's the fuel cell itself or what you'd call that, but each part of those creates 100 kilowatts, so they got 200 kilowatts, and they're trying to make them so that they are still creating 100 kilowatts even when they're at 1 million miles, so that you're not having any loss of efficiency. And they're talked about with diesel trucks, when Cindy Munro says that between 500 and 750,000 miles, you've got to rebuild a diesel truck. You got to rebuild the engine. It's very expensive. It takes a lot of work. Takes that truck down for some time, depending on your builder. It can be done, pretty quick. But they got to take out the motor. You redo everything, bearings, rods, everything has to be taken apart. The block has to be machined. So it does take some time. And the idea with these is that you don't have to do that. You can keep running, and you're not having a loss of time. Plus the expense, you're probably talking tens of thousands of dollars to rebuild one of these engines. Just to rebuild a small car engine done properly, you're going to be looking at $2,000 to $3,000. if you've got a good builder. That doesn't include taking it out and putting it back in. That's just a good builder is going to charge you something like that, and you've got to get the parts. A diesel truck, your parts are much more expensive, not just because it's diesel, but because these are high-end, heavy-duty parts. These aren't just for the run-of-the-mill car. Things add up pretty quick. So if they could run these trucks to 1,000,000 miles and not have to rebuild everything, that's great. I would like to see less hoses and stuff in there, because I do see, looking at this picture and others, and maybe once it's cleaned up, it's going to look better. But anything with a hose is a potential failure in the future. For all I know, those could be cables, electrical cables running through, and electrical lines tend to last a bit longer than hoses, but they do fail also. Let's see. Brian, my mind completely changed by meeting the people. Yeah, that's what you told me, and I believe it. That mess of hoses and wires is pure alpha. Each iteration is very likely to get cleaner and simpler. I hope so. His name is Sam Alexander. That guy doesn't know anything about Nikola. He likes to talk about Nikola because he's investing in Tesla, and he doesn't like the idea that Nikola is doing a wonderful job. I wasn't actually talking about Sam, and Sam hates Nikola. Stephen Mark Ryan hates Nikola. Warren hates Lucid. And these guys are just relentless. And Sam is someone who likes to expose news articles that were put out by the mainstream media that are total BS, and they're put forward as if they're the truth, and they're almost always about Tesla. And what he's showing is correct. They're usually just full of it, but at the same time, he looks at Nikola and he does the same things that he complains about the mainstream media. And he'll say things about Nikola which aren't true, or misinterpreted, or extrapolate just a section of a sentence so that it fits your needs. So I would love to talk to Sam about it and see if I could show him what's really going on. And he could still make good videos. And he can make videos about Nikola, and they could just be a little bit more positive. He's got to open his eyes a little bit. Let's see. Yes, Brian, it is definitely the cost of the rebuild and the downtime. Like I was saying, you could take like a month. Maybe you wrote that before I said that. Let's see. Boss USA, so many shorts on Nikola, want me buy more. High risk, high reward. Nikola will fly once SEC completes the investigation. Yeah, I think that will help once it actually might hurt right at first just because it's back in the news as a negative thing, but once it's done, it's done. I think the price is leaning on good. If you're an investor, you might want to look at that risk versus reward because the price is down. Let's see. Brian says he doesn't hate any. I'm cautiously optimistic, but more cautious than optimistic, and that's the way you need to be. Let's see. Tom Nash solving the money problem. Sam Alexander. Yeah, I haven't watched Tom Nash too many times. I think I've watched him a while ago. And there's another guy out there, I don't remember his name, but he put together like this 30-minute compilation of Trevor and everything that he's done wrong in his life. And, it's all correct to an extent, but Trevor Milton's not part of Nikola anymore. So it's kind of like let it go. But, you had 50,000 views on that video. Let's see, they're losing minds that their godfather, Cindy Munro, is collabing with Nikola and actually taking them. Oh, yeah. I posted a comment on solving the money problem when he had done a clip with Sandy Munro, and he didn't mention the fact that at 6 minutes and 30 seconds into Sandy Munro's video, he mentioned that he drove a truck and an electric semi, and he said it was fantastic. And I put a comment in there that said, hey, I hope this doesn't hurt you too much, but he's talking about Nikola. But, Stephen didn't put that into the video. He left that part out, of course. Let's see. Your opinion on how it took Tesla almost 10 years to reach 100 billion market cap, and Lucid is almost there and producing very few vehicles, where Tesla is producing hundreds of thousands per year. Yeah, well, there's a lot to be said about market caps right now that aren't positive, because it's easy to look at them and say, well, this is definitely overinflated. When you look at Rivian and Lucid, market caps usually aren't based on potential. It's usually based on what you've done. But I think as Lucid moves along and starts producing more and more cars, I think their market cap will start to get closer to being justified. But they also need to continue with getting sales orders. They need to get orders, and they need to produce what they have on order. But I don't think that's an issue, despite what some people might say. Let's see. The EV future is more clear to investors than it was a few years ago. I think Brian is responding to the fact that John was saying something about why the market cap is so high for Lucid, and it took Tesla so long to reach that type of market cap. Yeah, well, it's kind of like one of those things. Like I said, I don't really know if it's justified. I think it's a lot of people thinking Lucid is going to be the next Tesla. I don't think there's going to be a next Tesla as far as stock price goes. I don't think that Lucid is going to blow up anytime soon, like the way Tesla is. Tesla's in a lot more industries, and they're disrupting a lot more industries than Lucid is right now. And Lucid's just further away from that. If they're going to get into the energy sector, we're still a long way off. And the full self-driving, they don't have it yet. They're working on it, but it seems to be a lot further behind than where Tesla is right now. And if Tesla ends up marketing that or licensing it out to other car companies to save them the billions of dollars of investment, then that's just going to be another moneymaker. And then there's the insurance, there's the solar panels, there's power walls, the mega chargers, all those things. So let's see. Nikola will deliver to Anheuser-Busch this year. I've heard that they will. JCam, I've heard that they will deliver. I heard a rumor about a red truck that's going to be produced in December, which is just a couple of days away. Didn't see it in the video. I don't know where it is, but I heard there's going to be a red truck that is going to be made and delivered. Anheuser-Busch? Sounds likely. Let's see. Work on Nikola factory seems to go forever. When they're going to finish? Are there going to be more shares dilution in the future? I thank you for the drone videos. I watch them regularly. Well, okay, thank you, Leo. The share dilution is very minimal compared to other share dilutions. They have basically an equity line where they can pull money out, and when they do that, they get the value of the share, I think, minus 15%. So the lender is basically giving them 85% of a share of stock, and then Nikola can do whatever they want with the money. So the higher the price, the more money Nikola will get, but the less dilution that there'll be. So raise the price. It's good for Nikola. And I think that's a good deal. Basically getting the money for just a little bit of the company without diluting the shares as much as just saying, oh, well, we need $1 billion and we're just going to put that out there and do an investment raise. So I think the way they got it, that works out pretty good for them. Let's see here. Kirk says thank you. You're welcome, Kirk. So, and the Nikola construction, how long is it going to continue? It's supposed to continue for years. It's not supposed to be done anytime soon. Phase 2, which is the third phase, is actually supposed to start within a couple months. It's going to start right after this phase is complete, which is supposed to be done by the end of January. So they're moving along quickly on that. But they still have 2 more phases to go. And the phases that are still upcoming are much larger than what they have right now. The total build out is going to be 1 million square feet, and they're probably sitting at about 300 right now. Let's see, Ford is going to be the next Tesla. F-150 is going to be huge in the fleet buyers. John, maybe. It all depends. I know that they're entering the market at $40,000 with the low range F-150, and that will work in a lot of situations. There are some situations where it won't work. If I had an electric F-150 available with my landscaping business, I would have probably done something like that. I had looked at the Cybertruck, and for the what it costs, and I couldn't get it in like a work truck configuration. I kind of ruled that out. But I think the F-150 will do well. I would like to see Tesla come out with something that is more of a work truck. I don't think the Cybertruck at its price point is a great work truck. But a lot of this is also going to depend on range, not just regular range, but towing range. The one I think that will succeed more is going to be the one that can tow more efficiently, and I think that's going to end up being a big thing. I know a lot of places will just stick with Ford because they've always had Ford Chevys or Dodges with the white pickups. There's so many of them out there, and I mean, right now I own two trucks that are just regular work trucks. 3 trucks. I don't even know what I own anymore, but I've got 3 trucks. They're white. They're just work trucks. There's no flash in them, nothing. So it's very possible that that's going to work. I think they'll do well, but I also know that there are people that won't like Ford and they'll want to get something different. But Tesla doesn't have something that's really comparable in a work truck. Let's see. Tesla Semi had 2 passenger seats behind the center driver. I remember seeing it, and I thought there was like the center driver was just sitting there. Strange use of space. I'm not sure if that's what it should be when it's complete, because you sometimes have 2 drivers, and having a second set of eyes up front makes a difference, especially when you're trying to get into tight spots and things like that. But we'll see how that pans out. Nikola has far less competition compared to Rivian and Lucid. Tesla is clearly number 1, and the legacy automakers are also competing in car market. The zero-emission truck market is wide open, though. I agree with that. And one of the things that's going to hurt Nikola is they don't have a production line. Because if Sandy Munro loves these and they start getting orders in, more orders, and the places don't like to wait, especially when it's something like you're going to save this amount of money this year, but you can't have it for 2 years. So hopefully they can get the production line going. Maybe they can just make them in Germany and ship them over here. Hopefully there's not too much of a tax, but we'll have to see how that plays out. So the sooner they get everything built, and of course getting everything built sooner requires money. So we'll see how that plays out. So hey guys, we're reaching like almost 45 minutes on the live stream. I was wondering if you guys had any other questions, because we probably want to start getting going soon. Before we do, we are doing the live stream with Brian tomorrow. That's at 4 p.m. Pacific. I'm going to give him some crap about him saying Nikola's factory looked like a big garage. I'm also going to talk about Sandy Munro in this video a little bit more. And maybe Brian and I can talk about the consequences of Sandy Munro being at Nikola, and so far only having really good things to say. I also might want to talk about people using material and making up lies about it. I know I mentioned that earlier if you were in the live stream, but if you guys think those are good topics, let me know. Put it down in the comments after we log off. If you like this video, please hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. We're going to hit 10,000 subs before the end of the year. If we don't, I'm quitting. Done. I've got goals. I need to make them. All right, well, guys, thanks for watching. I'm going to log off now. If you got any more comments or questions, go ahead and put them down in the comment area, and I'll either bring them up tomorrow when I'm talking with Brian, or I'll just answer them right there. So thanks for watching. It was good seeing you guys.